Hey guys, what is going on? So I wanted to talk about my progress on this cut so far, as I have lost about 30 pounds and I am up in all of my lifts in the gym. And so I've been consistently adding, reps, weight. The general progression scheme has been working just as well, if not even better, as I've been cutting versus when I was bulking. And so this has actually kind of shocked me, but I have made some changes to my training, to my diet, to my recovery protocol and everything like that. And I really just wanted to emphasize some of those things that hopefully you guys can take something from this video and actually make progress when you're cutting. And, I'm not claiming that I'm gaining muscle as I'm in a calorie deficit, but if I'm adding strength to all my lifts, that's the foundation to getting bigger and stronger. So worst case scenario, I'm getting stronger without getting bigger. And that's something that I can kind of build off of once I add the calories back in. So again, not making any claims about building muscle, but I do want to talk about how I've been structuring my training as that's changed a little bit. And then talk about, my diet and recovery protocol and everything like that, because those have changed a little bit as well. And this is some of the best progress I've ever made in my adult life, and I'm doing it in a deficit. So I'm pretty excited to share what I've been doing. I don't know exactly, it's a combination of these things, but we'll get into what I've been doing. So the first thing is my training. So I have been progressively lowering my volume over the last year or so. And so I used to do really, really high volume training, not only in terms of like working out 2 to 3 hours at a time, but being in the gym like 6 or 7 days a week, doing full body training. And that worked for me. So I'm not claiming that I was overtraining. I was still able to, make progress, and really good progress at that. So I'm not claiming that I am this like low volume guy, but I've been progressively lowering my volume over time. I've also been progressively shying away intentionally from, barbell movements or standard strength training stuff like squat, bench, deadlift. These are just things that I have personally not seen a lot of growth from outside of the beginner phase. So I will say that I built a lot of muscle doing squats, a lot of muscle doing bench press. I was never really a huge deadlift guy, but I really think that those are great for building a base in terms of strength and size. What I've found is as I do those lifts less, I'm able to focus more on other accessory lifts, and I'm able to push those and progress those over time. And so when I'm, benching, I bench over 400 pounds. When I'm accumulating that kind of fatigue, or my squat, I can rep out weights in the 400s as well. So as I'm accumulating that fatigue, I don't think I'm getting quite as much stimulus. And so I'm kind of banking on those lifts, if I'm doing them at the start of my workout, to really drive hypertrophy. And that's really something that I wasn't getting a lot out of. So when I pulled those lifts, or I started doing lighter variations, or at this point, I'm not even doing any squats or bench press. And so when I'm not doing that, I feel like I've been able to focus more on these accessory lifts. And so the way that I've really approached these is they have a very high stimulus to fatigue ratio. And this is something that Dr. Mike Israetel talks about a whole lot. So if you're interested in that, go check out his videos. But what I used to do was what I considered to be a very low stimulus to fatigue ratio. I don't think I was getting that good of a stimulus out of them, and I was getting more fatigue. And again, I was still able to recover. I was still able to make progress. What I'm doing in the gym is so much less volume and so much more stimulating. And this really allows me to optimize my recovery. And so I'm actually spending probably 25 to 30% as much time in the gym, doing less fatiguing movements as well. And I'm spending more time recovering. And so I'm, getting better sleep, and I'm trying to, do everything I can to have less stress. And, there's an entire recovery protocol that I have in terms of what I'm doing outside of the gym. That's beyond the scope of this video, but I would say, just in a general sense, spending more time recovering and spending less time, doing these crazy workouts. And this is something that I think people kind of don't really think about when they're cutting. A lot of people really like to spend a lot of time in the gym. They want to burn all this fat when they're in the gym and spend a lot of time doing activity. And the way that I've really approached it is I'm not really burning much of any calories when I'm lifting weights. And so for me to do a lot less volume, to do relatively easy workouts, I think has been allowing me to, save that recovery, save the calories and all the resources that I have, which are smaller now that I'm cutting, and put them to good use in terms of rebuilding what I just broke down when I was lifting. And so for me, I'm not saying that you need to lower your volume by 75%. This is just something that I've kind of gradually done over the last year. And I'm getting better results now than I was when I was bulking, and I am cutting. So for me, it's really been, how can I get as much stimulus as possible doing as little as possible? And this is not me doing one workout a week or anything like that. I'm not trying to get you to completely abandon what you're doing, but as opposed to doing that more is more, more is better, and so I just keep doing more and more type of thing, it's really, can I get the best quality workout? And so for me, that's really been lowering my volume, lowering my frequency. Right now I'm training 4 days a week. My sessions last under an hour. They're pretty quick. And so therefore I'm able to really just get high quality work, get in the gym, get out, recover. And then this is kind of where the diet comes in. So for me, what I've been doing with my diet has really been focusing on micronutrients. So this is something that I never really used to do. I never used to track my calories, my macros, my micronutrients, anything like that. And the reason I got excited about tracking this time around when I started this cut is I wanted to see where my micronutrients were at. So I got an app called Chronometer, and this just measures what your micronutrient intake is for the day. And I found it kind of like a game, for me to try and hit all these targets. Oh, I'm getting low on this vitamin on a daily basis. Let me add this food in, and, consistently doing that, I find that I don't, need to take a multivitamin. I feel like I have a well-rounded diet. And so I feel like this has really made me feel better. One of the main things that I really wanted to tackle when I was cutting is to keep my hormone profile as optimal as possible. And this is not me getting blood work or anything like that, but just my general sense of well-being. Do I feel like I have high testosterone? Do I feel energetic? Do I feel happy? Do I feel motivated? These types of things I kind of associate with my hormones. And for me, I was really kind of getting down in the dumps towards the end of my bulk when I was eating a whole bunch of garbage, probably very low micronutrient dense food in general, and definitely deficient in quite a few of them, I would imagine. Whereas now I'm trying to really have a well-rounded diet and really focus on my micronutrients. So I'm optimizing and trying to have the foods that have the best micronutrient profile. So I'm eating things, like red meat and eggs and stuff like that much more consistently than I used to. And I really think that that's been beneficial in terms of general well-being, motivation in the gym, and, I think performance in the gym as well. So that's something that I've done. And then in terms of, the calories that I'm eating, I'm not really going to dive into macronutrients. I don't think it's really that important. I think it's very kind of individual, and I'm really not going to focus on that. But what I did was, considering I was, pretty well above 20% body fat when I started this cut, I found that I could be extremely aggressive in the beginning and lose a good amount of fat without any, detriment to my performance. So I was actually eating less calories in the first month or so of my cut as I'm eating now. And I've actually ramped my calories up over time. And what this has done is actually I started out with a very aggressive deficit. And as I got leaner and leaner, and I'm still, working on losing that, last 10 to 15 pounds, but as I've progressively gotten leaner, I've brought my deficit and made it smaller and smaller. And now I'm at the point where I'm probably at the smallest deficit that I've been throughout the entire process. And so I really want that energy balance to be as optimized as possible, where I have all the energy I need to do everything I need to do in the gym, outside the gym, everything like that. And so when I'm 4% body fat or whatever I was, I could afford to be in this massive deficit. Whereas now that I'm probably somewhere in the mid-teens, I want to focus on having a little bit less of a deficit and kind of coast to the finish line and really not be in a super aggressive cut for those remaining weeks. And my goal with this was that I wanted to keep my gym performance as high as possible and not lose strength and not lose size for as long as possible. And I've gotten to the point where I've finished the majority of my cut. I've lost the majority of the weight. And all I've done is just keep going up in the gym, which has honestly shocked me. I did not expect that. And so I'm just trying to keep this going. Every week that I'm hitting PRs is another successful week. And if I can get to the end of this cut stronger every single week, that's a massive, massive win. So I'm really, again, slowing down that deficit. I'm giving myself probably a couple more months to lose this final, 10, maybe 15 pounds. We'll see how long that lasts. I might have to go a little bit further than that. We'll see. And, I don't really have any specific goal in terms of how lean I want to be. But I do want to get to a level where I'm happy with how lean I am. I don't want to get into that area where I'm like starving or my gym performance is dropping dramatically or anything like that. So if I do get to that level, I may reevaluate where I want to be. But I really think that just honing in on, the micronutrients, decreasing the deficit that I have over time and making it a little bit more sustainable and easy to progress in the gym, and then really optimizing my recovery, both in terms of having an intelligent plan in place, in terms of how much volume I'm doing and the consistent progressions that I'm doing in my program, but then all the things that I do for recovery, which again is not really within the scope of this video, but in terms of supplementation and sleep hacks that I do, and trying to de-stress and everything like that. Those are things that I take very seriously. And combining all those things has led to what I think has been the most successful cut I've ever had. So we'll see if that continues as I lose another 10 pounds or so. Maybe it all just goes to shit from here, but we'll see. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that. I will keep you updated, and I'll talk to you soon.